Since childhood, I've been the little princess everyone adores. A pearl the emperor raised in the palm of his hand. Yet on the day of my engagement, the northern border king stood me out. Even so, I was still determined to complete this marriage alliance. The emperor's face turned grim at my words. Just as he was about to persuade me again, I lifted my head. My voice was firm. You said the marriage alliance princess would be chosen from the royal family. I am also a member of the royal family. As a princess, I must shoulder my responsibilities. As for Gu Tingchen, I paused. My fingertips trembled slightly. I said, all right, today is the day to choose the marriage alliance candidate. Since he missed the chance to ask for my hand, then it's all missed. Yuning, you're crazy. What kind of place is the Northern Territory? If someone has to die, let the elder sisters go. It's not your turn. You've been pampered your whole life. How could you survive there? My sisters tried to persuade me in a flurry, but I just stood there quietly. My eyes grew redder. They were clearly scared too, yet they still fought to die in my place. I took a deep breath and suddenly knelt down. Your child's mind is made up. I only ask for your majesty's blessing. The emperor looked at my stubborn expression. Finally, he let out a long sigh. Trembling, he picked up his brush to write the imperial decree. The ninth princess will marry the northern border king. Half a month later, I will personally see her off. I took the decree, turned and walked out of the great hall. The sunlight stung my eyes. Just as I stepped down the stairs, the sound of urgent horse hooves came from afar. Yuning, I've come to ask for your hand in marriage. Gu Tingchen, dressed in red, rode up on horseback. His sleeves fluttered, full of vigor. When he dismounted, the jade at his waist clinked. He walked quickly to me. Yuning, I'm late. Has the marriage alliance candidate been chosen? I looked at him. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. He was indeed late. It's been decided, I said softly. That's good. Gu Tingchen sighed in relief, a slight smile on his lips. Aren't you going to ask who it is? No matter what, it won't be you, he said with certainty. The emperor knows we lop each other. How could he bear to marry you off to the northern territory? Besides, he paused, his gaze tender. He dotes on you the most. I looked at him calmly. I wanted to tell him the truth, but the words died in my throat. The imperial decree has been issued. We have no future together in this life. Why add more trouble? Seeing my silence, Gu Tingchen thought I was still angry and coaxed me softly. Since the marriage alliance candidate is chosen, then I'll ask the emperor for your hand later. All right? Why later? Because, he hesitated. Su Qianqian lives in the Marquise estate without a title. She's always being bullied by the servants. I plan to first welcome her as a side consort. Seeing my expression change, he quickly added, don't worry, I'll never touch her. It's just to give her a status, so she can lie peacefully in the Marquise estate. These words were like a dull knife, stabbing deep into my heart. The bond between me and Gu Tingchen was once the most touching tale in the entire capital. When we were young, she always loved to chase after me, calling me Yuning, little sister. Even when I hit her with snowballs, she never got angry. As we grew up, he became the most flamboyant young marquis, yet only in front of me did he hide his sharp edges. Last year on the Lantern Festival, he single-handedly took on 10 noble families to win me all the lanterns on the street. This year's spring hunt, he chased that western white fox for 3 days and 3 nights, just because I casually said, that fur is really beautiful. Everyone said the young marquis doted on me, holding me in the palm of his hand, until that rainy night. His shadow guard died saving him. His last words were only, please, young marquis, take care of my sister. After that, Gu Tingchen's eyes held another person. I caught a cold, with a high fever that wouldn't break. That day, the imperial physician said it might be contagious, but Gu Tingchen ignored the warnings, stayed by my side for 3 days, until Su Qianqian sent word that her heart ached. He didn't even put down the medicine bowl before rushing out. On the Lantern Festival, I stood on the city tower until the stars faded, but by the moat, I saw Gu Tingchen carefully, lighting a lotus lantern for Su Qianqian. Now, with the border in crisis, a princess must be chosen from the royal family for a marriage alliance. Rumor has it that the northern border king is cruel and ruthless. 3 queens have already died tragically in his palace. My elder sisters hastily arranged their marriages that very night. Terrified of being chosen, 3 days ago, I specifically reminded Gu Tingchen, you must come to ask for my hand tomorrow. Don't worry. He smiled and pinched my cheek. I'll be there on time. But today, all the court officials were present. Only he was missing. I later learned that Su Qianqian had fallen ill suddenly last night. He stayed by her side all night, and she still hadn't woken up. I clutched the imperial decree in my hand and suddenly smiled. Since he chose Su Qianqian, then I'll grant his wish. All right, I said. I agree. Gu Tingchen was stunned. Then a hint of panic crossed his face. Yuning, you. He thought he'd have to plead to convince me. He didn't expect me to agree so readily. Why did you suddenly agree? I didn't answer. I just curled my lips. What else can I do if I don't agree? I've been jealous of Su Qianqian before. I thought it wasn't right for her to always be by Gu Tingchen's side, so I privately gave her a fortune in gold and silver, and even bought her a mansion in Jiangnan, wanting her to leave. But Su Qianqian knelt on the spot and kowtowed to me. She kowtowed until her forehead bled, crying and shouting that she would rather die than leave. Gu Tingchen happened to see this. In that moment, the way he looked at me was as if I were a vicious woman bullying others with my power. Later, I tried to explain, but he only thought I, Jiang Yuning, was being willful and spoiled, deliberately humiliating Su Qianqian. Now, Gu Tingchen only thought I was still angry. He quickly lowered himself to coax me. Yuning, don't be mad at me. The Marquise estate just got a fine horse from the western regions. Let me take you to see it. And your favorite pear blossom pastry. I'll have the cook make it for you. All right? I interrupted him. I happened to have something to retrieve, but when we arrived at the Marquise estate and just dismounted, a guard hurriedly reported, young Marquis, Miss Shen heard your urgent need for snow lotus for medicine. She went into the mountains alone to find it. She was injured by a wild leopard on the way. Now she's on the verge of death. Gu Tingchen's face changed drastically. He pulled me and ran towards Su Qianqian's courtyard. Inside the room, the imperial physician was sweating profusely. Miss Shen has lost too much blood, unless we use the 9-turn soul returning pill to save her. Otherwise. Gu Tingchen suddenly looked at me. Yuning, do you have the 9-turn soul returning pill? That was a life-saving treasure given to me by the emperor, the only one in the world. I clenched my hands. A sharp pain pierced my heart. If I gave it to him, what will I do in the future? I'll protect you. Gu Tingchen took my hand. I swear I'll never let you need it in this life. Yuning, her brother died because of me. I can't just watch her die. I looked down at his hand gripping mine. These hands once picked the sweetest pears for me, and once blocked the sharpest sword for me. Now they were trembling slightly for another woman. You can have it. But you must agree to one condition. I agree. Gu Tingchen answered without hesitation, his eyes full of urgency. Yuning, whatever the condition, I'll accept it. Only then did I take out the 9-turn soul returning pill from my sleeve. The pill glowed faintly gold in the sunlight. It was the life-saving treasure the emperor gave me in a moment of crisis. Gu Tingchen took the pill, immediately turned and handed it to the physician. Quick, give it to Qingyao. While his attention was all on Su Qianqian, I quietly signaled the maid to pack my belongings from the marquis estate. The rare books he had personally found for me, my favorite Celadon tea set, and the clay figurine he once joked was as temperamental as Jiang Yuning. After the items were gathered, I took out paper and brush and wrote down my condition on the desk. Before the ink was dry, a soft cough came from the bed. Young Marquis, has Qingyao caused you trouble again? I was just worried about your health. I didn't mean to make you worry. Don't be silly. Gu Tingchen gently wiped away her tears with his thumb, watching them act as if no one else was there. I felt utterly superfluous. I took out the note I had written and handed it to Gu Tingchen. Gu Tingchen, this is my condition. You must fulfill it. He eagerly wanted to open it, but I stopped him. Look at it in half a month. Gu Tingchen grew more curious. Just as he was about to ask what I had written, Su Qianqian called out, but Gu Tingchen's hand paused in midair. In the end, he tucked the note into his sleeve and turned to trek on her. I watched his back as he carefully helped Su Qianqian up. Silently, I turned and left. As I walked out of the marquis estate, the setting sun stretched my shadow long. On that paper was only one sentence. Gu Tingchen and Jiang Yuning shall never see each other again in this life. I returned to the palace and burned all the gifts Gu Tingchen had given me, along with the things I had brought back. According to custom, a bride's wedding veil must be embroidered by the bride herself. So when the imperial decree was issued, the empress immediately selected the finest red silk and gold thread and sent them to my palace. I chose a pattern of twin lotus flowers, stitching each stitch with great care. Actually, my embroidery skills weren't good before. It was only when I thought of marrying Gu Tingchen that I practiced diligently for a long time. Back then, I practiced until all 10 fingertips were pricked and bleeding. When he saw it, he was heartbroken. As he bandaged my fingers. What's the point of this veil? Yuning, let's stop practicing. No, the bride must embroider it herself. I laughed. But 3 days later, he came to me with a finished embroidered veil. His hands, used to holding a spear, were covered in needle pricks. Don't be too moved, he said with a proud raise of his eyebrows. My lop for you is still plenty. Back then, the young man's eyes shone with light. He said he would spoil me to the skies for the rest of his life, but the vows still echo in my ears. The person he will marry for the rest of his life will never be me again. I slowly closed my eyes. Just as I was about to finish the last few stitches, I heard whispers from the maids outside the courtyard wall. I heard that the side consort the young marquis is taking is of humble origin, lonely and pitiful, without even a family to see her off. The young marquis pitied her background, so he specially brought her into the palace and asked the noble consort to recognize her as a goddaughter. The noble consort is from the prime minister's family. Being able to climb that relationship, that mission side consort must have whispered plenty in the young marquis's ear, and the young marquis actually agreed. He really dotes on her. But that's nothing. I also heard that the side consort's dowry was all arranged by the young marquis. Together with the betrothal gifts, it cost over 10,000 taels of gold. Just the jewelry and headpieces alone would fill over a dozen carts. The side consort's quarters were too cramped, so the young marquis tore down the small Buddhist hall to expand the courtyard. Every single thing far exceeds the regulations for a main consort. The needle tip suddenly stabbed deep into my fingertip. A drop of blood fell on the twin lotus flowers, spreading into a dark red stain. I stared blankly, my chest feeling like a stone was pressing on it, making it hard to breathe. I put down the needle and thread and went back to my room, planning to rest for a while. I had just dozed off for a moment when a commotion came from outside. I got up to see what was happening. As soon as I stepped out, I saw Aunt Lin, who served the Empress, grabbing Su Qianqian's hand and slapping her hard across the face. This is the veil the princess embroidered herself for her wedding. How dare you destroy it? Are you trying to defy royal authority? Disrespecting palace rules? I was stunned for a moment. I quickly walked over. What's going on? Aunt Lin bowed to me and explained the whole situation. Your Highness, the 9th princess, I was following the Empress's orders to invite you for lunch, but I found this woman cutting your newly embroidered veil with scissors and trying to sneak away unnoticed. I immediately had her stopped. According to palace rules, she should receive 30 strokes of the rod. Looking at the veil, now cut into countless shreds, and then at Su Qianqian, crying pitifully and claiming innocence, I frowned. With the wedding approaching, I didn't want any trouble. If Gu Tingchen found out I had hit Su Qianqian, I didn't know what he would do. So I shook my head. Aunt Lin, since this happened in my palace, I'll handle it myself. Please go back and inform the Empress. I'll pay my respects later. Aunt Lin agreed and turned to leave. But Su Qianqian suddenly picked up the scissors and walked straight toward me. Aunt Lin was terrified. She kicked Su Qianqian to the ground and shielded me. How dare you! Attempting to assassinate the princess. I was also startled. Before I could react, a figure rushed in. and held Su Qianqian in his arms. Seeing Gu Tingchen arrive so conveniently, I understood immediately. She had just been putting on another act of self-sacrifice, and he always fell for it, thinking we were bullying her again. The look he gave me was cold. Yuning, I was just discussing military affairs with His Majesty. It's been less than half an incense stick's time. And you, while I'm away, what were you trying to do to Qingyao? I stared at him, my chest heaving with anger. You don't even know what happened. And you immediately assume I'm trying to harm her. Gu Tingchen, am I really that despicable in your eyes? Or is she really that important to you? Hearing my questions, Gu Tingchen was taken aback. Only then did he realize he had been too impulsive. He took a moment to calm down. His tone softened slightly. Yuning, I just saw Qingyao injured. So my words were a bit harsh. You know she's just recovering from a serious illness. Can't you be a little more tolerant of her? Don't always target her. In the end, he still thought I had bullied Su Qianqian. A deep sense of helplessness washed over me. I took a deep breath. Just as I was about to explain the truth, Su Qianqian began to sob. Young Marquis, it's all Qingyao's fault. I saw the princess's embroidered veil and thought it was beautiful. I wanted to learn the stitching. I didn't expect to accidentally ruin it. This head maid saw it and slapped me. But I really didn't mean to. Seeing the handprint on Su Qianqian's face, Gu Tingchen realized she had been hit. He glared at Aunt Lin. His voice indignant. Aunt Lin, Qingyao is my soon-to-be side consort. Even if she made a mistake, a verbal reprimand would suffice. Why did you resort to violence? Young Marquis, it's not that I'm ignorant of the rules, but your side consort has gone too far. Look at how the princess's newly embroidered veil has been destroyed. How could it not be intentional? And on top of that, she picked up scissors to attack the princess. That is an unforgivable crime. Looking at the pile of shredded fabric, Gu Tingchen frowned and looked at Su Qianqian, but her expression changed slightly. She immediately picked up the scissors and stabbed herself in the shoulder, crying hysterically. I didn't mean to attack the princess. I just knew I had done wrong and came to accept punishment. I ruined the princess's veil. Qingyao is willing to pay with her life. I only ask for the princess's forgiveness. Seeing the blood gush from her wound, Gu Tingchen quickly snatched the scissors away and pressed on her wound. When he looked up at me again, his anger flared. It's just a veil. Ruined? You can embroider another one. Why must you always bully a weak woman? I know you have a willful temper. I often tell her to be patient. But I never expected you to hurt her even more. She never meant to offend you. Can't you be a little more magnanimous? Watching him defend Su Qianqian without reservation, my heart slowly grew cold. I couldn't say a word, but Aunt Lin saw through Su Qianqian's trick at a glance. She couldn't help but expose it. The scissors only pierced a bit of skin and drew a little blood. It's all an act of self-sacrifice. Can't you see that, young Marquis? The princess's true feelings for you are as clear as day. Yet you want to marry such a side consort. No wonder the princess would rather marry far away. Before she could finish, Gu Tingchen coldly interrupted. Can true feelings excuse her mistakes? Is my true feelings for her any less? He clearly knows I only love her. I would give my life for her. As for Qingyao, I'm just taking care of my deceased subordinate's family. I only wanted him to be a little more tolerant of Qingyao, but he repeatedly made things difficult for her. Where's the true feelings in that? Every word fell into my heart, causing a continuous, piercing pain. My index finger dug deep into my palm. I gritted my teeth to swallow the bitter emotions. Gu Tingchen didn't look at me. He picked up Su Qianqian and was about to leave. Aunt Lin was furious. She couldn't help but speak up for me. Young Marquis, your side consort offended the princess. That is a fact. According to the law, she should receive 30 strokes of the rod. Are you going to defy the law as well? Gu Tingchen suddenly stopped. He turned back and gave us a deep look. His voice was as cold as ice. If punishment is to be given, Qingyao and I are one. I'll take those 30 strokes for her. With that, he carefully placed Su Qianqian aside. Then he lifted his robe and knelt straight down. His posture was as straight as a pine. The military rod struck his back again and again. Blood stained his clothes, but he didn't make a sound until the 30 strokes were finished. Su Qianqian, with tear-filled eyes, threw herself into his arms, apologizing repeatedly. His cold gaze softened. He endured the pain to comfort her. Then he picked her up again and walked away step by step. I looked at the trail of blood on the ground. My heart ached beyond control. All my strength had drained away. I stumbled forward a few steps. Aunt Lin quickly supported me, her voice full of pity as she comforted me. Princess, try to see it clearly. The young Marquis, he's not worth it. I closed my eyes and silently answered her in my heart. Det, he's not worth it. So I'm letting him go. In the following days, I focused on preparing for the wedding, ignoring everything else. Outside my window, Gu Tingchen was taking a side consort. The day before, he came to the palace. It had only been a few days since we last met, but it felt like a lifetime. We looked at each other in silence. After a long silence, Gu Tingchen finally spoke. Yuning, I know you're very jealous. I see how jealous you get when I talk to other women. But I truly only see Qingyao as a sister. Marrying her is just to protect her for life. Later, I'll persuade her to move to a villa outside the capital. That way, after we're married, you won't see her often, and there won't be any more conflicts. Married. Hearing that word from his mouth again, it felt foreign to me. I lowered my head to avoid his gaze. My voice was cold. No need. She can lie wherever she wants. Don't consider my feelings. Otherwise, if something happens to her, you'll blame me for driving her away. Gu Tingchen thought I was still angry. He patiently tried to coax me. Yuning, don't be mad at me. Let's just say the past was my fault. I apologize to you. Can you stop holding a grudge? In the past, I would have softened and forgiven him. But now, I just looked at him calmly and told him very seriously, I won't hold a grudge against you, and we won't get married. Gu Tingchen was stunned. He just thought I was still throwing a tantrum. A hint of helplessness flashed in his eyes. Nonsense. If you don't marry me, who will you marry? Whoever dares to marry you, I'll kill him. The veil for our wedding was cut to pieces. Let me embroider another piece for you, alright? I was about to speak when a guard rushed in hastily. Little Marquis, Miss Shen wants to pick her wedding gown for tomorrow. Please return to the mansion to discuss it together. Gu Tingchen nodded, said a few more soothing words to me, then turned and left. Watching his back, a bitter smile curled on my lips. I murmured softly, Gu Tingchen, you still don't know that we will never marry. That night, I tossed and turned, dreaming many dreams. In my dreams, I wore the most beautiful bridal gown, boarded the wedding sedan, and joyfully married my beloved. But I waited and waited in the bridal chamber, hoped and hoped, yet the groom never appeared. Just as I was losing heart, a thunderous burst of firecrackers jolted me awake. I opened my eyes and heard the maids at the door gossiping about Gu Tingchen. The wedding procession had already set off. I got up, washed, and walked alone to the highest point of the palace wall. From there, I could clearly see the festively decorated, joyous Marquis mansion. A 10-mile bridal dowry lined the streets of Chang'an. The wedding carriages stretched endlessly out of sight. Gu Tingchen rode a tall horse, clad in a red robe and wearing a red flower, the spirited young man of my dreams. But the bridal sedan beside him carried Su Qianqian. I watched him lift Su Qianqian in his arms, step over the fire pan, and enter the mansion amid cheers of 100 years of harmony. I could no longer see the rest of the ceremony. Tears blurred my vision, falling drop by drop, soaking my clothes. I stood there alone for a long time. Aunt Lin found me, bringing an elaborately decorated gift box. Princess, this is from the Empress for the little Marquis' wedding celebration. She asks you to deliver it, and instructed me to tell you. Since fate has run its course, you must cut ties decisively to avoid further turmoil. I knew my mother wanted me to see it myself, so I could finally let go. When I arrived at the Marquis' mansion, the guests had all dispersed. The servants assumed I was the future mistress, so no one announced me. I walked alone to the back courtyard. Through the window, I saw Gu Tingchen lift Su Qianqian's veil. They drank the nuptial wine arm in arm. The matchmakers scattered peanuts, dates, and longans, chanting, have a son soon, then withdrew. Gu Tingchen was drunk, his mind hazy. He simply closed his eyes and feigned sleep. Su Qianqian blushed, approached him, and gently massaged his forehead. Once he grew accustomed, she loosened her robe, slipped half undressed into his arms, and kissed him first. Gu Tingchen burned with heat, instinctively wrapped his arm around her waist, and let her kiss him, mumbling something incoherent. Seeing this, I felt as if my heart had been pierced, bleeding and agonizing. I couldn't bear to watch and turned to leave, but accidentally knocked over a vase on the windowsill. After the crisp sound of breaking porcelain, I heard Gu Tingchen's voice behind me. Yuning, I didn't stop, running all the way to the door, where Gu Tingchen blocked me. He grabbed my hand, panting, his voice filled with unprecedented panic. Yuning, let me explain. I had some wine today. Maybe that cup of hijio was too strong. I was dizzy and mistook Qingyao for you. So I lost my composure. I didn't push her away in time, but seeing you sobered me up immediately. I won't let it happen again, I promise. This is the last time. I won't mistake anyone again, and I'll keep my promise to you. I will never touch her. I knew Gu Tingchen had a high tolerance for alcohol. Seeing the unnatural flush on his face, I realized Su Qianqian must have drugged the wine. But even knowing the reason, my mood didn't improve. I withdrew my hand and stepped back. You and Su Qianqian are now married. There's no need to tell me about your marital affairs. I don't care. Men and women should keep their distance. From now on, I hope you'll maintain that distance so as not to ruin my reputation or make your concubine jealous. Without looking at his expression, I turned to leave. Seeing me lie this, Gu Tingchen grew angry. He pulled me into his arms, bent down, and kissed me, rough and domineering, giving me no chance to escape. I struggled hard, but couldn't break free. Tears I'd held back for so long burst forth. Feeling the wetness, Gu Tingchen quickly released me, apologizing helplessly. Yuning, I was just angry at your cold words, and didn't know how to prove I only lop you. So I lost control. Kissing you was out of line. You can hit me or scold me, but please don't cry, Oku. Seeing your tears makes my heart ache unbearably. I broke free from his embrace, wiped my tears, and was about to speak when Su Qianqian's maid rushed over in panic. It's terrible. The concubine has hanged herself. Little Marquis, please save her. Hearing the cries for help, Gu Tingchen's face changed instantly. He ran off without looking back. I hesitated, then followed instinctively, and saw Gu Tingchen burst into the room. With a hidden weapon, he cut the white silk from the beam. He caught Su Qianqian as she fell, frowning as he checked the red marks on her neck. He called for a physician. She, pale-faced, wept, Little Marquis, if you don't lop me, why save me? Let me hang here in this bridal chamber today. Then you won't have to marry me out of guilt to my brother. And there'll be no obstacle between you and the princess. Gu Tingchen's face turned cold. For the first time, he scolded her, stop it. What do you take yourself for? And what do you take me for? To me, you and Yuning are equally important, equally important. I suddenly laughed, the curve of my lips as if forced. I bit my lower lip hard until I tasted blood and realized I'd bitten through it. When I was 12, Gu Tingchen nearly broke his leg, picking a snow lotus from a cliff for me. On my 15th birthday, he ran through the city in the rain, just to find my favorite pastry sop. Last winter, he blocked a tiger's claws with his bare hands, leaving 3 vicious scars on his back. Those unique affections I thought were mine alone. In his heart, they were now equal to another one's. Gu Tingchen. I whispered his name in my heart, as if to crush and swallow the decade of luck. When did I become something you could see? Since he thought they were equally important, then I, a Jiang Yuning, would grant him that. Soon, the 9th princess of Daliang would have nothing to do with him. Days passed. Dowries from various palaces and mansions nearly filled my palace. I knew that once I left, I might never return to my homeland. So before the wedding, I wanted to fulfill my wishes. I changed into plain clothes, took a few maids, and went to the temple to pray. I wished for my father and mother the emperor and empress to lie forever, and for my siblings to be safe and het pie. Then I went to my usual pastry shop, wanting to taste those delicious treats one last time. But before I reached the door, I saw Gu Tingchen with Su Qianqian, also picking pastries. They ate and chatted about the fun they'd had shopping. Su Qianqian laughed and leaned into his arms. He held her, gently patting her back. Some crumbs got on his face, and he wiped them clean with a handkerchief. She fed him a piece of osmanthus cake she'd tasted. He didn't mind at all, swallowing it in one bite. Their picture together was harmonious and warm. Even the shop assistant couldn't help sighing. The little Marquis and his concubine are newlyweds, and he's already shopping with her. They're truly loving. I heard the little Marquis only had eyes for the 9th princess, and was cold to all other women. But now that he's taken a concubine, even the hardest steel has turned into soft fingers. I listened quietly. Apart from a tightness in my chest, I felt nothing. Gu Tingchen turned and saw me, startled. He immediately distanced himself from Su Qianqian, came to me, and said, Yuning, why are you out of the palace alone? Why didn't you ask me to accompany you? And with so few guards, what if something happens? Seeing the worry in his eyes, I replied indifferently, just taking a stroll. No need for the little Marquis to trouble himself. Continue shopping with your concubine. With that, I left with my maids and pastries. Gu Tingchen followed, explaining helplessly. The physician said Qingyao's heart condition is severe. She needs to go out and relax to recover. That's why I accompanied her. Don't overthink it. Su Qianqian also came over, looking pitiful. Princess, the little Marquis only wanted me to get better quickly, so he set aside all his duties to shop with me. I know you don't lie seeing me with him. Rest assured, once you marry into the mansion, I'll never leave my courtyard, or disturb you. Seeing her perform her self-pity act again, a cold sneer flashed in my eyes. Qingyao has already yielded this much. Yuning, don't push her further. After we marry, I'll belong only to you, Oku. I hadn't said a word, hadn't done a thing. Just hearing Su Qianqian's 2 sentences, Gu Tingchen was already blaming me. I didn't argue with them, only replied, even if you want to accompany her for a lifetime, I wouldn't care. I turned and boarded the carriage to return to the palace. Gu Tingchen grabbed my hand, about to say more, when a dozen arrows suddenly shot from the sky. Hearing the sharp whistling, his face changed. Instinctively, he shielded me, wrapping his arm around my waist to take me into the carriage. But then he heard screams. Turning, he saw Su Qianqian hit in the leg by an arrow, falling to the ground. Gu Tingchen's heart leaped. He let go of my hand, jumped off the carriage, and as he picked up Su Qianqian, an arrow struck from behind, piercing my chest. A sharp tearing pain spread from my chest, tormenting my nerves. My pupils dilated. I looked down at the arrowhead stained with blood. My mind blank. My strength left me. My legs gave way, and I fell from the carriage. My consciousness grew hazy, just before my eyes closed. The last thing I saw was Gu Tingchen holding Su Qianqian. Pain surged like a tide. I drifted in and out of consciousness, occasionally waking briefly. I forced my eyes open, and saw I'd been taken to the nearest clinic. Gu Tingchen held my hand, panicked. The physician examined the wound, his expression grave. Little Marquis, the arrowhead is poisoned. The antidote requires rare herbs. We only have enough to treat one person. Whom should we save first? Without a moment's hesitation, Gu Tingchen said firmly, save Yuning, of course. Hearing this, the dying Su Qianqian sobbed. Her voice choked. Little Marquis, I know your heart belongs only to the princess. Truly, even if I could be your wife. For just 2 days, I'd be content. Save the princess. I'll go now. Don't worry about my brother. He must be waiting for me in the underworld. Hearing her tearful plea, and her mention of her brother, Gu Tingchen's expression shifted slightly. As he hesitated, the physician urged again. This young lady's pulse is weak. If not treated soon, the poison will spread throughout her body. Then even the gods can't save her. The other young lady, though healthy, has a wound near her heart. Hearing that I was healthy, Gu Tingchen finally made up his mind. Without even hearing the physician out, he changed his decision. Since Qingyao can't wait, save her first. I'll send for the imperial physician immediately. Yuning, hold on a little longer. Maybe it'll be fine. The physician approached me, trying to remove the arrow, muttering, this arrow is too close to the heart. The poison will spread faster. What can be done? Gu Tingqian, already walking towards Su Qianqian, didn't hear this. Watching him let go of my hand again, I felt only a deep chill. Tired and despairing, I closed my eyes. When I woke, I was back in the palace. A maid stood by and burst into tears upon seeing me awake. Princess, you're finally awake. You were poisoned. The entire Imperial Medical Academy worked non-stop for 3 days to save you. His Majesty and the Empress stayed by your side and only rested after you were safe. His Majesty was furious when he learned of your assassination. The little Marquis was punished for failing to protect you. He knelt at the noon gate for 3 days and nights. Would you lie to see him? I paused, was silent for a long time, then shook my head gently. At that moment, the last person I wanted to see was Gu Tingqian. After finishing my medicine, I wanted to pay respects to my parents, but met Su Qianqian in the Imperial Garden. She blocked me, looking frail, her face haggard and sorrowful. Princess, when His Majesty learned I caused your poisoning, he wanted to punish me. The little Marquis, to protect me, took all the blame. He's knelt for 3 days without food or drink. Please go see him. I stared at her. He's being punished for you. That has nothing to do with me. You're his concubine. You should persuade him yourself. I won't interfere in your household affairs. My attitude angered Su Qianqian. She grabbed my arm, her voice furious and resentful. Jiang Yuning, the little Marquis patiently coaxes you again and again, only because you're a princess. It's not lop at all. Without that status, he wouldn't even glance at you, let alone marry you. I finally understood that Su Qianqian's hostility toward me wasn't just because she loved Gu Tingqian, but also because she envied my status. I stared at her, shook off her hand, and said coldly, I don't care who Gu Tingqian loves. There's no future for us. I won't be his bride. To Su Qianqian's ears, this was blatant gloating. That no matter what she did, even if I didn't marry him, Gu Tingqian would give up everything and beg me to come back. The shame and inferiority buried in her heart surged up, making her lose all reason. Watching me turn to leave, Su Qianqian suddenly rushed forward and pushed me into the lake. A strong sense of weightlessness hit me. Before falling, I instinctively grabbed her sleeve, and we both fell into the water. We flailed and struggled, but sank deeper. The cold, bitter water flooded my mouth and nose. I couldn't breathe. My mind went blank. I could only faintly hear someone on shore calling for help. An intense suffocation overwhelmed me. I struggled to lift my head for air and saw Gu Tingqian. He leaped into the water without hesitation, but swam straight towards Su Qianqian, pulling her unconscious body into his arms. Watching him protect her and slowly swim to shore, I felt dizzy. I couldn't stop myself from sinking deeper into the lake. Gu Tingqian, you said you'd protect me for life. In the end, you broke your promise. When I opened my eyes again, the first thing I saw was my father's red-rimmed eyes. My mother held my trembling hand. My sister's makeup was ruined from crying. Seeing me awake, my mother couldn't hold back and pulled me into her arms. Yuning, how did you fall into the lake? Was someone pushing you? Tell me, and I'll have that person cut into 1,000 pieces. I almost blurted out Su Qianqian's name, but then held back. Gu Tingqian, after all these years of childhood friendship, consider this my final gift to you. My nose stung. I forced a smile. Father, mother, no one pushed me. I was just walking carelessly. Tomorrow, I'm to marry far away. I must be too het pie about the journey. These words only made everyone's hearts ache more. The eldest princess suddenly hugged me tightly. Silly girl, still trying to comfort us at a time like this. The northern border is cold. Here's a warm jade. The second princess quickly inserted a prepared jade hairpin into my hair. Surrounded by my family, my mood slowly calmed. I accepted the dowries they'd added, said my farewells for a long time, and finally sent them off. The room fell silent. I sat by the window, looking around at the dowries filling the room, still a bit dazed. Soon, I, Jiang Yuning, would leave here forever. As I was lost in thought, a maid announced from outside the door, Princess, the little Marquis requests an audience. I didn't want to see him and shook my head. Tell him I have a headache. And don't want to see anyone. The maid withdrew. But soon, Gu Tingqian's urgent voice came from outside. Yuning, why won't you see me? Are you still angry? Let me in. Let's talk, Oku. Watching the shadow of his figure moving outside, I lowered my eyes, my voice weary. I have nothing to talk to you about. If you want me to stop being angry, go back and open the note I gave you that day. Fulfill the conditions on it. For some reason, hearing me say this, Gu Tingqian's heart raced with anxiety. He wanted to push the door open, but feared making me angrier. So he coaxed patiently, the note. I'll read it tomorrow. Whatever conditions you set, through fire and water, even if it costs my life, I'll do it. But let me in first, Oko. I want to see how your wound is. Don't be difficult. I'm so worried. Let me see you, Yuning. I slowly closed my eyes. I didn't understand. If he was so concerned, why had he twice chosen not to save me? I'm tired. If you want to see me, do it tomorrow. Meet me at the Temple of Heaven at noon. The Temple of Heaven? Tomorrow isn't a day for sacrifices. What are you going there for? Hearing the confusion in his voice, I parted my lips to answer, but then heard a guard's voice. Little Marquis, the concubine has woken up and is looking for you everywhere. Gu Tingqian hesitated for a long time, then left only one sentence before hurrying away. Yuning, we'll talk tomorrow at noon. There won't be any more talking. Tomorrow at noon, after the ancestral rites, I, Jiang Yuning, will depart for the northern border. I want him to watch me board the bridal sedan, leave step by step, and become another man's wife. Back at the mansion, Gu Tingchen spent the whole night comforting Su Qianqian. He finally regained his composure. He pressed his temples, finally able to think clearly. How to coax Yuning later. Yuning must still be angry. If he can't soothe her, he'll take her straight to the emperor to propose. Having made up his mind, the stone weighing on Gu Tingchen's heart finally settled. Seeing it was almost noon, he took out the note Jiang Yuning had given him half a month ago. Just as he was about to open it, Su Qianqian entered. She looked at him timidly. Little Marquis, are you going out today? Can you take Qingyao with you? Don't worry, I'll obey you obediently. I definitely won't cause you any trouble. Otherwise, if you leave me home alone, my heart always feels empty. Remembering the physician's advice, Gu Tingchen reluctantly nodded. He put away the note, planning to read it when he returned. Then he took Su Qianqian into the palace. The carriage stopped outside Xuanwu Gate. From afar, he heard wedding Miodai. The great bell, usually rung only at funerals, was told. Was someone in the palace dying or marrying today? Gu Tingchen frowned. Then he remembered today was the peace bride's departure. No wonder Yuning had arranged to meet at the Temple of Heaven. She didn't want to delay the hour. He took Su Qianqian and hurried over, but he saw the sacrificial rites had already ended. The northern border's bridal procession was waiting nearby, awaiting the imperial decree. Gu Tingchen cared nothing for the peace marriage. His eyes swept the princess's seating area several times. He didn't see her figure. He was always a man of his word. He never broke an appointment. Realizing this, Gu Tingchen's heart inexplicably raced. He searched back and forth several more times. Still, he didn't see the figure he imagined. His eyelids twitched wildly. A strong sense of panic surged in his heart, making him grab a nearby guard. Why isn't the 9th princess at the peace marriage? The guard respectfully bowed to him. About to explain, his gaze swept to the scene ahead. He quickly pointed. Little Marquis, the 9th princess is here, over there. Look. The moment Gu Tingchen turned, his breath stopped. Before the bridal procession, she was in a grand red wedding gown. The beaded curtain on her phoenix crown swayed in the wind. She bowed solemnly to the emperor. Her clear voice pierced the cold wind. Great Liang's and Princess Jiang Yuning. Today, by imperial decree, I go for peace. This journey is over mountains and rivers, forever parted from my homeland. May heaven bless Great Liang. As her voice fell, all civil and military officials and watching commoners knelt. A wave of sound surged. Farewell to the 9th princess. Long lie the princess. 10,000 years. The peace bride was actually her. Gu Tingchen's breath caught. He felt his heart gripped by an invisible hand. Why was she the one to go for peace? Far away to the northern border. Not to mention the long, hard road. The suffering she would endure. And the northern border king was rumored to be brutal. If she married him, wouldn't she be walking into a wolf's den? Her future would be hopeless. Moreover, the emperor and empress clearly knew he would come to seek her hand. Why did they still send her for peace? For a moment, Gu Tingchen's mind was in chaos. But seeing her about to leave, he instinctively moved to stop her, but was pulled back by Su Qianqian beside him. Little Marquis, if you go now, you'll disrupt the peace marriage and be punished. I don't care. How could the emperor send her for peace? Gu Tingchen shook off Su Qianqian's hand, about to chase the bridal procession. But she was right. Today was the great day of the peace marriage. The guards around, seeing his strange behavior, immediately came up and held him down. Little Marquis, the emperor has decreed, no one may disrupt the 9th princess's peace marriage. The guard pressed him down with a stern face, watching Jiang Yuning walk away. Gu Tingchen's eyes turned red. He suddenly turned and shouted angrily, why is she the one going for peace? She's the youngest princess, the emperor's most beloved. Why her? The guards knew little of the truth. They could only reply respectfully. This is an imperial decree. Little Marquis, please don't make things difficult for us. His heart felt full of bitterness. He wished he could stop the procession and demand answers. But under the guards' restraint, he couldn't even get close. Su Qianqian rushed over in panic. But Gu Tingchen's eyes were only on that radiant figure. He shouted, Yuning, why are you going for peace? Yuning, he called desperately. But whether she couldn't hear or didn't want to respond, she didn't look back even once. He could only watch that red figure. Step by step, moving farther away. His Yuning was leaving, until she was out of sight. Only then was Gu Tingchen released by the guards. He collapsed to the ground. Su Qianqian rushed to him with concern, tears falling from her eyes. How dare those guards be so bold? You're the little Marquis. Are you all right? Little Marquis, it's all my fault. I should have stood in front of you. Let's go see a physician. She helped Gu Tingchen up, but the man's direction after rising wasn't toward the medical institute. Su Qianqian's heart tightened. Little Marquis, the medical institute isn't this way. I know. I'm going to see the emperor. I need to know why she's the peace bride. I'll ask the emperor to revoke the decree. Yuning can't go for peace. She was meant to marry me. She should be my wife. The more he spoke, the more determined Gu Tingchen's expression became. There must be some misunderstanding. If I explain to the emperor and have him revoke the decree, Yuning can still come back. She's only just departed. There's still time. Hope ignited in his eyes. Ignoring Su Qianqian's reaction, he broke free from her and strode quickly toward the palace. Su Qianqian bit her lip tightly behind him, but still followed. After arriving at the palace, a eunuch stopped them. Gu Tingchen didn't hesitate. He knelt directly. Gu Tingchen requests an audience. I have urgent business with the emperor. The eunuch went to deliver the message. Every second of waiting felt like torture to Gu Tingchen. After a while, the eunuch finally came out. I'm sorry, little Marquis. The emperor says he won't see you. Gu Tingchen's body swayed. The emperor wouldn't see him. He was about to urgently explain. It's about my matter. The eunuch continued. But the empress invites you to her palace. Little Marquis, Miss Shin, this way, please. The empress rarely sees visitors. She must have something to tell you. Su Qianqian's face showed surprise. Gu Tingqian understood. The empress had always doted on Yuning. She must support him. Thinking this, Gu Tingqian quickly followed the eunuch to the empress's palace. Little Marquis Gu, Miss Shin, you've arrived, with the announcement. They walked straight into the palace and knelt in the main hall. Gu Tingqian pays respects to the empress. Su Qianqian pays respects to the empress. The empress bade them rise. But Gu Tingqian not only didn't rise, he bowed and kowtowed 3 times, then spoke clearly. May I ask why the empress summoned me? But I beg the empress to ask the emperor to revoke the decree. The 9th princess is willful, and the northern border is bitterly cold. The northern border king is also brutal. How can the 9th princess go for peace? If the emperor revokes the decree, I will immediately seek Yuning's hand. As he spoke, he kowtowed several more times. The thuds echoed. His forehead was bruised, but he didn't blink. But the empress's voice was faint. I summoned you not for Yuning, but for Su Qianqian. Gu Tingqian's face showed SOC. Why Su Qianqian? Before he could ask, the empress continued. Su Qianqian, this is your tete, with the noble consort behind her, and your recent harmony. I intend to set aside my prejudices and bestow some gifts upon you, hoping you two will grow old together. Xiao Cici, present the gifts. As the empress finished, the eunuch waved his hand. A dozen people immediately entered from outside, carrying many rare treasures and placing them around. Seeing this, Su Qianqian's face was full of joy. She had no power or influence, even if she had the noble consort as her godmother. It was just a casual arrangement and carried little weight. But the empress's favor was different. She immediately imitated Gu Tingqian and kowtowed several times, her voice full of surprise. Thank you, empress. The empress is the mother of the nation. But Gu Tingqian's face darkened. He grabbed Su Qianqian, stopping her from continuing to kowtow and accept the gifts. His tone turned cold. Empress, what does this mean? Forgive my boldness, but you should know. I married Qingyao only to give her a place to stay. My heart has always been only with Yuning. As soon as he said this, it was an open declaration. The empress chuckled lightly. Little Marquis, you claim your heart is only with Yuning, but you repeatedly delayed seeking her hand, disappointing Yuning time and again. Did you know that going for peace was Yuning's own decision? These words shocked Gu Tingqian to the core. He even forgot his manners and blurted out. How is that possible? How could Yuning willingly go for peace? I clearly said I would definitely seek her hand. The empress's sharp eyes fixed on the stunned Gu Tingqian. That's something you need to ask yourself. Little Marquis Gu, you may go. I am tired today. As for the gifts, I will have them sent to your residence, to Miss Shin's courtyard, as a tete. With that, the eunuch ushered them out and closed the door tightly. Gu Tingqian remained lost in SOC. The emperor wouldn't see him, and the empress was this. He needed to understand what had happened. Suddenly, he remembered before leaving home, he had forgotten to read the note she had left him. The answer might be in it. He immediately mounted his horse, leaving a word for Su Qianqian, and rode straight back to the residence. Qingyao, I have urgent business. Go back on your own. He kicked the horse's flanks hard and galloped off. In less than half an hour, he was back at the residence. He took out the note, opening it with hope. But after reading, his face turned pale, as if he might collapse at any moment. Gu Tingqian and Jiang Yuning shall never meet again in this life. Remembering when she had given him the note, it was right after he had taken the 9-turn resurrection pill. So she had already planned to leave him then. No. The empress said Yuning had volunteered for the peace marriage. That meant when he, for Su Qianqian, hadn't sought her hand as promised, she had been disappointed in him. At that moment, Gu Tingqian felt as if a knife had pierced his heart. He had always thought there was no rush with Yuning. After all, they had known each other since childhood. Everyone knew their feelings for each other. That he would marry her was only a matter of time. But Su Qianqian was different. She was powerless, with no family, and had sacrificed herself to save him. If he didn't treat her well, who else would protect her? He couldn't breathe. Just then, the empress's gifts arrived at the residence. The eunuchs loudly read out the empress's oral decree, then filled the courtyard with the gifts. Su Qianqian returned with them. As soon as she entered, she couldn't help but embrace him. Little Marquis, the empress gave me gifts. This is the first time I've received so many precious things. But the courtyard seems too small. Since the 9th princess is temporarily away, could we temporarily store the gifts in her room? The main wife's room you've always kept for her. Hearing this, Gu Tingqian choked up. He instinctively wanted to agree, but if Yuning returned and saw her room filled with Su Qianqian's things, what would she think? He had always allowed it. Gu Tingqian didn't answer. Su Qianqian naturally understood his meaning. She smiled bitterly and stepped back 2 paces. I understand. Even if the princess has gone for peace, that room is not for Qingyao to set foot in. Such self-deprecating words. Gu Tingqian didn't know what he was angry about. Was it that she had gone for peace without telling him? Or Su Qianqian's endless demands? His face was dark and cold, but Su Qianqian continued to mock herself. I have nothing. This is the first time I've been favored by someone as great as the empress. I momentarily lost my composure. Little Marquis, it's my fault. I shouldn't have coveted the princess's room. Saying this, seeing Gu Tingqian had no reaction, she actually started slapping her own face. Su Qingyao has angered the little Marquis. It's my fault. I made the princess go for peace. She slapped herself several times as she spoke. Her face quickly became red and swollen. Gu Tingchen grabbed her hand. It's not your fault. If you want to use her room, then use it. I'll get Yuning something better later. I'll go beg the emperor again.
I don't believe there's no way to undo this. If I can't marry Yuning,
I'll regret it for the rest of my life. With that, he left the residence directly. Outside the hall of mental cultivation, the emperor refused to see him, so Gu Tingchen kept kneeling.
From day to night, even as a downpour drenched him all night.
Gu Tingchen's back didn't bend an inch. When morning came and the emperor was about to attend court, Gu Tingchen finally saw him. Dragging his weary body, he kowtowed heavily. Gu Tingchen requests an audience. The emperor ignored him, so he continued kneeling outside the hall. 3 more days passed, until Gu Tingchen was dizzy
and about to collapse. A eunuch approached. Little Marquis Gu, why must you do this?
The emperor doesn't wish to see you.
Even if you kneel here and lose your life, you won't see him.
Gu Tingchen smiled weakly. Please, eunuch, announce me once more.
All right, I can't do anything with you. If the emperor still refuses this time, little Marquis, you really must go back.
Your health is important. If His Majesty still refuses this time,
then I'll wait here. Unless I die, I won't give up on Yuning. The eunuch sighed
and reluctantly announced him again. The sun was scorching, but Gu Tingchen didn't seem to notice, until the eunuch's face showed a hint of complex joy.
Go in, little Marquis.
The emperor has agreed to see you,
but he's in a bad mood.
Be careful. Gu Tingchen was immensely grateful. He had knelt for too long. As soon as he stood up, he collapsed. The eunuch exclaimed and moved to help him, but Gu Tingchen waved his hand and forced himself to stand, walking step by step into the main hall. Gu Tingchen knelt and kowtowed. Thank you for the audience, Your Majesty. I have come regarding the 9th princess. I beg Your Majesty to grant my wish. Gu Tingchen truly loves Yuning. I beg Your Majesty to revoke the decree. The emperor's expression was unreadable. He hadn't wanted to see Gu Tingchen. The reason, the one who made his beloved 9th princess volunteer for peace was him, but he was also willing to risk his life for Yuning. He excused him from the formalities. Gu Tingchen, on the day of the peace bride selection, why didn't you come to seek Yuning's hand? Gu Tingchen stiffened. Your Majesty, that day, Su Qianxian,
my current concubine, was ill.
I needed to care for her
and couldn't come.
But if you revoke the decree, I am willing to seek Yuning's hand now and personally bring her back. The emperor didn't respond to his words. Instead, he continued asking, the 9-turn resurrection pill I bestowed upon Jiang Yuning, who did you give it to? Su Qianxian?
She risked danger to save me. I had to save her, but I will protect Yuning with my life. And did you?
When Yuning was attacked, who did you save? Gu Tingchen opened his mouth, but couldn't answer. It was clear now. How could he not understand the emperor's meaning?
But Gu Tingchen gritted his teeth,
thinking of her going to the northern border and never seeing her again.
He felt a void in his heart
and couldn't find peace no matter what. He was dismissed by the emperor. Gu Tingchen had no more words to beg for an audience, but his mind was constantly filled with her figure. He returned to the residence. Just as he entered the courtyard,
he heard arguing.
He was irritated. How could the maids be so unruly at a time like this?
If he heard something upsetting or it ruined his mood,
he frowned, wanting to go in and ask, but listening closely, he recognized Su Qianxian's voice. The little Marquis isn't at the residence,
so I'm in charge here. Smash everything in the princess's room. She's gone for peace and won't be back. She might even die on the road.
You dog of a servant, madam, but that's the princess's room. The Marquis spent over a month decorating it.
If the Marquis blames us, what does the princess matter?
Isn't she going to the northern border now? I am the true mistress here now. Smash it. Then, the sound of heavy smashing followed. Gu Tingchen's heart tightened. He strode in quickly and saw Su Qianxian smugly ordering the servants, forcing them to smash the room he had prepared.
Seeing this,
Gu Tingchen's face darkened. Su Qianxian,
what are you doing? His shout startled her.
Su Qianxian hadn't expected Gu Tingchen to return at this time. She immediately put on a pitiful look. Little Marquis, you're finally back. Those maids were disobedient. They insisted on smashing the princess's room. I couldn't stop them. It's my fault for being useless.
They all think I'm just your plaything, with no real power.
She held back tears. Usually, when Su Qianxian said such things, he would be filled with pity and immediately declare her status in the residence. But having just heard that conversation, Gu Tingchen's face showed no emotion. He stared at her, his voice cold. I heard everything. It was you who forced them to smash it.
Su Qianxian, you have quite the nerve,
daring to touch the room I prepared for Yuning. At these words, Su Qianxian's face turned pale. Gu Tingchen had heard everything. Tears hung at the corners of her eyes, threatening to fall. She forced herself to calm down, trying to explain, but Gu Tingchen cut her off. Enough, Su Qianxian. I never realized before
that you thought so little of Yuning. Tell me, what did she do?
Gu Tingchen pointed at the maid Su Qianxian had been scolding. Su Qianxian looked at her anxiously. The maid looked at her, then at Gu Tingchen. Finally, she made a decision. Little Marquis,
today, I swear on my life, every word I speak is true.
If there's any falsehood, I am willing to accept any punishment. Su Qianxian's eyes narrowed.
Don't talk nonsense.
Gu Tingchen keenly sensed that something might be wrong.
He warned Su Qianxian, Let her finish.
Su Qianqian instinctively felt something was wrong.
She glared at the maid, wanting to cover her mouth or make her disappear forever. But with Gu Tingchen present, she didn't dare do anything, just stared at her. The maid steadied her emotions. Before she could speak, tears fell. Little Marquis, while you were away, the lady
insulted the princess every day,
saying she should die in the northern border.
She also said the Rome mansion is all hers now.
She's the consort's goddaughter,
and deeply favored by the empress.
She's become a phoenix. I also know.
The lady often slandered the princess before.
The princess never troubled the lady, but that drowning was the lady pushing her in.
As the maid finished, Su Qianqian's eyes blazed with fury. Without a second thought, she rushed over and kicked him.
What nonsense are you spouting?
When did I ever insult the princess?
Little Marquis, don't listen to this servant's lies.
Beat him. Beat him now. The maid was kicked to the ground, screaming. Gu Tingchen's eyes turned icy. He called guards to stop Su Qianqian.
I'll investigate the truth myself.
Lock Su Qianqian in her room first. Without my order, no one is to release her. The guards obeyed, dragging Su Qianqian into her room. Through the door, Gu Tingchen heard her crying out.
Little Marquis, you must believe me. How could I ever do such a thing?
Little Marquis, Gu Tingchen's mind was in turmoil. He also thought,
how could Su Qianqian commit such treason?
She had always been timid and restrained. How could she insult the princess? But everything he just heard suggested there might be more truth. Distraught, his gaze swept over the maid on the ground. Suddenly, he saw the wound on her sleeve. Gu Tingchen's eyes sharpened. He reached out and grabbed her arm.
What happened to your arm?
Where did this wound come from? He demanded. The maid was startled. Then, trembling, she replied, it was the lady's punishment. In an instant, Gu Tingchen felt his world shatter. A voice echoed in his mind.
But how could he have trusted the wrong person?
He immediately went to the palace.
Only there could he learn the whole truth.
He sought out the princess's mother, the imperial physician, and even asked the empress. Finally, he confirmed one thing. Su Qianqian had indeed deceived him. She was never wronged by me.
Everything was her own doing.
Even the betrothal and marriage selection.
Her illness that day was faked.
Just to stop me from marrying Yuning. No wonder I was so heartbroken, and volunteered for the marriage alliance. Gu Tingchen's face turned pale.
He couldn't believe what he had done.
He loved Yuning so much, yet he had hurt her time and again, all because of Su Qianqian's lies. They made him miss the time to propose to Yuning, forcing her to go to the northern border alone. In an instant,
Gu Tingchen felt his world spin.
He staggered twice, and was caught by his attendant. Little Marquis, are you alright?
Shall I call for a physician?
You haven't rested in a long time. No need. Return to the mansion. He looked up, his eyes filled with deep hatred. Return to the mansion immediately. The attendant summoned horses. Gu Tingchen couldn't wait a moment longer and rushed back. He walked step by step into the room where Su Qianqian was confined. As he opened the door and saw him, Su Qianqian's face lit up with surprise. Little Marquis, you came to see me.
I knew you still cared for me.
She tried to rush and embrace him, but Gu Tingchen grabbed her by the throat. The man's eyes were as cold as ice.
So you've been lying to me all along.
Su Qianqian, you really are something. Su Qianqian's expression changed. She thought Gu Tingchen had come to release her,
not to accuse her.
She struggled in panic and fear. Little Marquis, let me explain.
Let me explain.
It was the princess who provoked me first. That's why I acted that way. It's all the 9th princess's fault.
How could I have done anything to the princess?
But her explanation didn't soften the man's heart.
He sneered, even now. You're still lying.
You deliberately ruined Yuning's bridal veil.
You faked your illness
to stop me from proposing to Yuning on time.
And you pushed Yuning into the lake.
Su Qianqian, I never realized before
how vicious and scheming you are. Gu Tingchen roared, and threw Su Qianqian to the ground.
She hit her head on the pillar, and blood seeped out, but she ignored the pain.
Crying, she knelt and grabbed his shoe. I was wrong.
I was jealous of how good you were to the princess.
That's why I did those things. I was afraid that if you married her, you'd forget me. Little Marquis, I was blinded. I was wrong. Please forgive me. I only have you now.
And the princess has gone for the marriage alliance. She can never come back.
I'll change from now on. I'll never lie again. Little Marquis, give me another chance.
Su Qianqian cried pitifully. She thought if she just cried and acted pitiful
and mentioned her dead brother,
Gu Tingchen would forgive her as before. Now that she's gone to the northern border,
no one can threaten me anymore.
A hint of malice and triumph flashed in Su Qianqian's eyes.
But Gu Tingchen saw through her thoughts.
He looked at this person, who still refused to repent, and deeply regretted ever believing her. It had forced Yuning into the marriage alliance. His gaze was cold. Yuning will return. I will petition the emperor again.
If the emperor refuses,
I'll go to the northern border myself and bring her back. After she returns, I will divorce you. With your status as the consort's goddaughter,
you can survive in the capital.
Su Qianqian,
from now on, we are nothing to each other.
I don't want Yuning to see you and be angry.
He turned to leave. Su Qianqian couldn't believe what she heard. Even after all this, Gu Tingqian still wouldn't give up on Jiang Yuning. He still wanted to marry her, and even divorce her for her sake. Then what was the point of her hard-won status as the Marchioness? Was all of this just a dream? Su Qianqian knelt and grabbed his leg. Little Marquis, my brother asked you to take care of me before he died. I'll be obedient from now on. Little Marquis, please don't abandon me. Taking care of you doesn't mean I have to marry you. I won't mistreat you. I'll give you enough silver. He didn't even look at her as he walked away. Seeing that he was truly cutting ties, Su Qianqian clenched her fists. She suddenly screamed, Gu Tingqian, you drove her away yourself. Do you think all this is my fault? This made Gu Tingqian stop. He said nothing, but his face was dark enough to drip water. What did you say? Seeing his expression, Su Qianqian laughed and said, I said you drove her away. Everyone in the capital knew you two were in love. But you chose to marry me. You didn't care about her feelings. You didn't put her first. Gu Tingqian, it was your fault. Hearing this, his mind recalled what the emperor had said to him when the betrothal was set. Why didn't you come to propose to Yuning? The 9-turn revival pill I gave Yuning. Who did you give it to? Who did you save that day? Each word pierced him like a knife, suffocating him. He clenched his fists, as if he could feel her pain. When she decided to leave him, was it lie this too? Gu Tingqian didn't look at Su Qianqian again. Instead, he went to his room, took out paper and brush, wrote a divorce letter, and threw it in front of her. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have missed the time to propose to Yuning. Su Qianqian, in memory of your brother saving my life, I can let bygones be bygones. But from now on, we are strangers. Get out. Su Qianqian looked at the divorce letter. She had only been the Marchioness for a few days, and now she was going back to her old life. Gu Tingqian, you can't do this to me. Su Qianqian screamed, tears streaming down. But several guards stepped forward, dragged her out, and threw her outside. Gu Tingqian went to the palace again. This time, he didn't seek the emperor, but begged to see the empress. I know I was wrong. Entering the palace, Gu Tingqian knelt down directly. After dealing with Su Qianqian, he realized how absurd he had been, and how much he had hurt her. And then he discovered that all her belongings in his mansion were gone. He didn't even know when she had taken those traces away. He was filled with regret, in pain every day. If only he hadn't cared about Su Qianqian then, and had proposed to her directly. Would everything be different now? He stayed in the mansion for a few days, and all he saw was her shadow. He couldn't understand why, loving her so much, and her being the most important person, he had ended up hurting her. Gu Tingqian made up his mind. No matter the cost, he would bring her back. He returned all the Empress's gifts, and came to the palace again. Seeing Gu Tingqian's pleading look, the Empress sighed helplessly. Knowing you're wrong is useless now. The matter is settled. Getting the Emperor to revoke the decree is nearly impossible, especially since Yuning went willingly. No one can persuade her. If you could convince her to come back, the Emperor might relent. Gu Tingqian's eyes lit up. He knew the Empress was giving him a chance. He kowtowed several times in excitement before leaving. This time, his request to see the Emperor wasn't blocked. Gu Tingqian spoke firmly. I sincerely beg you to revoke the decree. I am willing to pay any price. The Emperor nodded to him. If Yuning agrees to return with you, I will allow it. But before that, punishment is unavoidable. Gu Tingqian, you said you'd give everything for her. According to palace rules, you must be flogged 99 times. Are you willing? Gu Tingqian's eyes didn't waver. I am willing. He knelt. The eunuch behind him held a long whip and struck him mercilessly, lash after lash. Each lash tore his skin open, but Gu Tingqian didn't make a sound. He endured the whipping to the end. The blood he shed formed a pool beneath him. His face was pale, and his body trembled. The final lash struck his back hard. Gu Tingqian finally couldn't hold on. He groaned and collapsed to the ground. He gasped for breath, his vision blurry. The flogging is over. I must go find Yuning. Yuning, wait for me. He reached out and crawled forward, then fainted. The Emperor watched Gu Tingqian, whose body was barely intact, and still called for a physician. When Gu Tingqian woke up, it was a week later. He sat up abruptly. How long has it been since the 9th princess left for the marriage alliance? The maid by his bedside replied. 2 months, little Marquis. At the speed of the horses. In less than a month, the princess will reach the northern border. Hearing this, Gu Tingqian ignored his injuries and sat up. If he was too late, and Yuning married the northern border king, it would be over. Little Marquis, the physician said. You need to rest for a while longer. The maid rushed to help him, but Gu Tingqian pushed her away. No time. Prepare my horse. I'm going to the northern border. He stumbled out. The maid chased after him. Your wounds haven't healed yet. You could easily die on the road to the northern border. Little Marquis, please reconsider. Gu Tingqian couldn't hear anything. He mounted his horse in pain, knowing only that his Yuning was waiting for him in the northern border. After 3 full months, I finally arrived at the northern border. It's perpetually cold here. Even though I had brought padded jackets, the weather still turned my face pale. The carriage stopped. The accompanying maid lifted my curtain. 9th princess, we've arrived. The northern border king has come to welcome you in person. Would you like to step out and see? If this were in the palace, with my noble status, I would at most glance out the window. But now I'm in the northern border. I know I can no longer be the spoiled little princess of my father, mother, and sisters. I must bear the burden of this marriage alliance. I can't let the Northern Border King look down on us. As soon as I appeared, the cold wind made me squint before I could say anything. It's cold here. Your clothes aren't warm enough.
Ninth princess, we're mine for now.
A rough but thoughtful gesture.
I looked up and saw the legendary Northern Border King, Reborn.
Living in the harsh northern cold, he was tall and burly, with a stern expression.
He was the complete opposite of the unrestrained little Marquis.
I was stunned for a moment, then quickly recovered.
I smiled at him. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, Northern Border King.
I am the ninth princess, Jiang Yuning. How should I address you?
You will be my princess consort. No need to be too formal. My name is Reborn.
You may call me by my name. He paused, then called out, Yuning. His deep, husky voice and intimate address caught me off guard for a moment, but remembering we were to be married, and I would spend the rest of my life here, I let it go.
I smiled gently.
Biming nodded slightly. The guards behind him knelt and shouted,
Welcome, princess consort. Let's go.
I'll show you the territory first. After you rest, we'll discuss the wedding.
Reborn extended his hand. I had no objection. I placed my hand in his,
and he led me through the snow. The northern border was a vast expanse of white. We walked for a while
before seeing the city walls. It wasn't as bustling as the capital,
but the people were very warm.
When they saw the Northern Border King entering the city,
they offered their own food and supplies.
Northern Border King,
here's some cured sausage from 2 days ago.
Northern Border King,
these are our best vegetables.
Is this the princess for the marriage alliance?
Princess, please bear with our cold weather. Only then did Biming's face show a hint of a smile.
He refused everything.
I appreciate your kindness, everyone, but winter has just begun. Keep your food for yourselves. When the princess and I hold our wedding, you can all come and get a SA. Hearing this, the people cheered.
Long live the Northern Border King. I watched all this,
and though I didn't speak, I could tell
that the Northern Border King was a ruler beloved by his people.
I followed him into the city.
The architecture here was different from the palace.
I looked around curiously
and pulled the fox fur cloak tighter. Still cold?
Biming noticed my action and handed me a hand warmer.
Hold this to warm your hands. Don't catch a chill.
I wasn't used to such cold weather, so I didn't refuse. After warming my hands with the hand warmer, I couldn't help but study the man before me. Noticing my gaze, Biming didn't look away, but met my eyes. What is it, ninth princess? The outside world says you're cruel and ruthless. It seems that's just a rumor. You're clearly loved by your people. Biming seemed to think of something
and let out a laugh. To my own people, I am lenient, but to any nations, I'm cruel. Ninth princess.
Don't judge by appearances, or you'll easily get hurt. I nodded. There are some foods from my country in my dowry. You probably don't have much access to them here. You can give them to the people. I can't eat that much alone. Hearing this, Biming's gaze changed. Princess, aren't you afraid I'll take your dowry? Hearing this obvious tet,
I raised my eyebrows with a faint smile. I've come to the northern border to be your princess consort.
Naturally, we are one. Even if your heart belongs to another.
This is the sincerity my country brings.
A bitter smile tinged my words.
From the moment I decided on the marriage alliance, I had prepared to be neglected or even humiliated. Throughout history, that's been the fate of princesses in such alliances.
To protect their homeland's peace.
Biming looked at me with admiration. Well said. But since I agreed to this alliance,
I won't make things difficult for you.
From now on, you will be my only princess consort. I will have no concubines or side consorts.
If you have any requests,
I will do my best to fulfill them. Ninth princess.
This is my sincerity. Guards. 2 guards entered. At your command. Store the princess's dowry properly. Take good care of the horses. Also, spread the word. I will hold the wedding soon. The guards withdrew. Biming stood up.
I have matters to attend to. You've had a long journey.
Rest well. I'll come for you tomorrow. I nodded. Biming turned and left the room. Only then did I finally relax. I didn't know if Biming would keep his promises, but at least today had gone smoothly, and I was truly exhausted. For 3 months, I had been jostling in the carriage.
Finally, I had a place to rest. I didn't care about anything else and lay down on the bed.
When I woke up,
it was already the next day. My maid from the palace was by my bed.
Princess, the Northern Border King came earlier. Seeing you were still asleep,
he didn't want to disturb you. He asked me to tell you
to go to the backyard for breakfast when you wake up.
All right, I understand. I didn't delay.
I washed up briefly and went to the backyard.
Biming was practicing with a spear in the bamboo grove.
The spear was straight, and as he swung it with power,
it cut down a large swath of bamboo.
I could even hear the wind breaking.
I could imagine how terrifying it would be to face that spear. It seemed the rumors of his cruelty
weren't entirely false. I walked over and sat down at the stone table.
Biming put down his spear and came over.
Why didn't you put on the fox fur cloak? Your silk and cotton from the Great Liang are good,
but they can't withstand this cold wind.
Princess, don't let yourself freeze. I explained. That cloak is yours after all. If I use it, won't you be the one freezing? Besides, I only came out for a quick meal and to see you. I'll go back soon. Biming frowned.
He clearly hadn't thought of such a detail.
I'll have one made for you. I won't let you suffer. With that, he waved his hand. Several maids came up,
carrying bowls of hot congee.
Eat. After you finish, We'll discuss the wedding.
I didn't question it. I drank the hot congee spoonful by spoonful. I suddenly felt that the northern border wasn't so bad.
After I finished, a maid came to take the bowl
and accidentally bumped into me. A bowl shattered on the ground.
The maid knelt in fear. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
Please don't mind, princess. There was no hot porridge in the bowl, and I wasn't hurt. Just as I was about to forgive her,
the maid's gaze shifted to He Baiming.
Master, it's all Xiaoqing's fault.
Punish me if you must.
Such familiar words. I understood immediately. Something must be between them.
I didn't say anything. I just avoided the maid and left.
That's how marriage alliances are. As long as I'm the princess, it's enough. I smiled bitterly, staring out the window.
Soon, He Baiming walked in.
Why did you leave just now? Come on, let's go to the celebration. I said nothing, nor did I explain why I left. I followed He Baiming onto the horse. The wedding venue wasn't far. Under He Baiming's orders, the whole city was festive red. As far as the eye could see, it stretched endlessly. He turned and asked, how is it? Satisfied? I smiled and replied, very satisfied. You've been thoughtful, Northern Border King. There's an even better place.
He Baiming smirked.
He suddenly spurred his horse. Seeing this, I refused to fall behind.
But I couldn't met a man who rode to war.
Even though He Baiming slowed down on purpose,
I arrived a few steps later, but I was stunned at the sight. A beloved princess marrying for alliance. I thought my dowry was generous enough,
but He Baiming's betrothal gifts were even longer than my procession.
They stretched beyond sight. These are specialties of the north. I doubt you have them in your land. On our wedding day, the carts will set off for the capital.
So this was the sincerity He Baiming mentioned yesterday. I couldn't help but smile. My goal for the alliance was achieved.
With these gifts, his father could govern the country better.
Thank you, I said sincerely.
You said you married me. We are one now.
I won't treat you poorly.
He Baiming smiled.
That smile stunned me for a moment, but I quickly put on a polite expression. He led me back to the room. Soon, the wedding dress was brought in. He Baiming asked if I wanted to use mine. I refused. Since I'm in the north, wearing local wedding attire is proper.
So a bright red dress was sent to my room,
along with a full set of headpieces.
Then a maid entered. I thought she was there to help me dress, but when I saw her face,
I realized she was the one called Xiaoqing earlier. Her eyes were full of jealousy and hatred. Don't think the Northern Border King truly loves you.
Your marriage is just for diplomacy. I'm the one he truly loves.
Facing her provocation,
I nodded casually.
I didn't care when Gu Tingchen had a lover. Why would I care about He Baiming? As long as it doesn't hinder me, I don't mind him having a maid on the side. She seemed surprised by my easy agreement. Lucia was momentarily stunned. Then the door was pushed open.
Yuning, does the dress fit?
He Baiming's voice came through, but seeing Lucia in the room,
his face darkened. I realized he thought I was bullying her.
I smiled bitterly, about to explain, but He Baiming spoke first.
Why are you here?
I didn't assign you. You barged into the princess's room.
Lucia, what's your intention? His tone was icy.
Lucia knelt immediately.
Master, I only did it for your good. I came to warn the princess,
not to have any ideas about you.
Nonsense, He Baiming snapped. His brows were dark with anger.
His voice turned cold. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. I care for you out of respect for your brother. But major matters aren't for you to decide. Apologize to Yuning. Lucia's face went pale. Tears welled up in her eyes. Master, don't you understand my feelings yet? I did nothing wrong. And you want me to apologize to a Daliang princess? Insulting the princess is a capital offense.
An apology is already lenient.
Lucia, don't make me repeat myself.
Seeing his unwavering stance,
Lucia's tears fell. She gritted her teeth and apologized reluctantly. Then she left the room. A strange ripple stirred in my heart. I explained to him what happened. She really didn't do much.
Just said a few words.
No need to punish her.
But He Baiming was firm. My brother may have helped me.
But you are you, and I am I.
His kindness shouldn't fall on you. Besides, I've indulged her for years. I never thought she'd dare offend you.
If I don't punish her,
how will you hold your head up? His voice was cold.
But every word was for my sake. My heart warmed. A faint smile touched my lips.
Soon, another maid entered.
She diligently helped me into the wedding dress. He Baiming waited behind the screen. When he first saw me emerge, a flash of surprise lit his eyes.
I didn't expect this dress to fit you so well.
Even I'm surprised.
It seemed tailor-made for me.
It highlighted my slender waist and long legs.
I stood gracefully,
like a beautiful flower. I twirled around.
Even the maid sighed. Princess, you look perfect. This dress was left by the late queen for her grandson's wife. You and the Northern Border King are truly a met. Her words made me blush.
So this was He Baiming's grandmother's. It must be precious. Go on now. Remember to wake the princess early tomorrow.
He Baiming scolded her lightly.
I was a bit worried. Is it appropriate for me to wear something so precious? He Baiming adjusted my headpiece. It's fine.
Wear it with ease. My grandmother would have wanted this. Reassured, I relaxed. I tried on some other jewelry. Then he beaming left. The next day, I woke early to prepare for the wedding. I wore the wedding dress, put on the crown, and sat in the sedan. Petals were scattered along the way. Mo Dyke played without stop, until the sedan stopped at the venue. The maid lifted the curtain to welcome the bride. A loud voice announced. He Biming's gaze fell on me. He walked over quickly. The northern customs differed from Daliang. He Biming carried me through the path. He set me down only at the altar. Bow to heaven and earth, bow to the parents. My figure, though slender, was very striking. Just as we were about to face each other for the final step, an unexpected voice interrupted. Yuning, you can't marry him. I froze. That was Gu Tingchen's voice. I looked up in surprise. Gu Tingchen, looking frantic, rode his horse straight in. But before reaching the hall, he was stopped by guards. He Biming's eyes turned dangerous. He walked out. Who are you? Why say Yuning can't marry me? Gu Tingchen stared at the person in wedding attire. His expression grew complex. It took 3 months to travel from Daliang to the north. He rode non-stop, arriving in just over a month. Luckily, he stopped the wedding in time. He still had a chance to win me back. Gu Tingchen didn't look at He Biming. In his view, the alliance was just my way of leaving him. A rough northern man could never truly win the beloved princess's heart. He stepped forward, shouting at me, whose expression was equally complex. Yuning, don't be afraid. I begged the emperor for a decree. If you come back, your sister will marry in your place. I know you came for the alliance, just to spite me. I know I was wrong. Come back to me, please. How ridiculous. He still didn't realize his mistake. He thought I was just being willful. I couldn't describe my feelings. I smiled indifferently. Did you read the letter I left you? Gu Tingchen, you said you'd fulfill my condition. We'll never see each other again. At that, Gu Tingchen's face went pale. Of course, he'd read the letter, but never see each other again? How could that be? He loved me so much. How could he let me go? Gu Tingchen breathed heavily. Before he could explain, He Biming said coldly, didn't you hear? My princess wants never to see you again. Guards, take this guest to rest. Treat him well. Immediately, several guards grabbed Gu Tingchen. They tried to drag him away. Gu Tingchen's face changed. Do you know who I am? I'm the little marquis. I came with an imperial decree. He Biming sneered. Whether you have a decree, or bring your emperor here, you can't act wild on my land. Little marquis, please go rest. With that, the guards ignored his struggles and dragged him away. I watched it all in silence. The wedding, disrupted, couldn't continue. The onlookers were dismissed. He Biming returned to his room. I followed him in. I knew that no matter what, I had to explain today's events to him. As soon as I entered, I saw He Biming's stern face. I came here willingly, Northern Border King. Trust me, I won't go back with him. But He Biming wasn't one to be easily convinced. He studied me, so I told him everything. Gu Tingchen and I were in law, but after Su Qianqian's brother saved his life, everything changed. He even married Su Qianqian first. He believed her lies repeatedly, and hurt me time and again. I did lop him before. I hoped he'd marry me. But now that I've come to the north, I won't dwell on the past. I felt relieved after saying it, because seeing Gu Tingchen now, I felt nothing. He Biming's eyes showed pity. Then he said coldly, a life debt doesn't require marriage. He indulged Su Qianqian himself. Ninth princess, with your words, I'm reassured. On my land, he can't take you away. But the wedding isn't complete. We still need to drink the nuptial cup. Would you lie to finish it here? And complete our marriage? I smiled. Of course, I don't mind. I picked up the cup on the table and drank the nuptial cup with He Biming. The next step was the bridal chamber. He Biming looked at me and asked, if you're unwilling, don't force yourself. I shook my head. I told you, I'm willing. Then his gaze grew intense. He wrapped his arm around my waist and lifted me. He laid me on the bed, and the candles were blown out. I was nervous at first, but though He Biming seemed rough, he was very gentle. He didn't make me uncomfortable at all. I blushed. Soft moans escaped my lips. After a night of passion, I was too tired to get up. For meals and everything, He Biming carried me. Are you okay? He massaged my waist. Too shy to answer, I just nodded. Then I suddenly remembered something. Where's Gu Tingchen? He Biming replied, still in his room. Do you want to see him? No need. Please pass on a message. Tell him I've decided to part ways. Let him return to Daliang. Alright, I understand. Do you have the energy? I want to take you somewhere today. I tried. My legs were a bit weak, but I could still walk. Seeing my cautious steps, He Biming picked me up. The wind was cold outside. He wrapped me tightly in his fur coat. We rode one horse. Several guards followed behind, afraid I'd be cold. He held me close to his chest. I could hear a heartbeat. I wasn't sure if it was his or mine. We rode from the city to the outskirts. I'd never seen such a place before. I was curious. Where are you taking me? I held back all the way. Finally, I asked. The hunting grounds. I want to catch a suitable prey for you. I didn't ask further.
Because once at the hunting grounds, He Biming's expression turned serious.
His eyes locked onto a rabbit. When the prey let its guard down,
He suddenly drew his bow and shot.
his arrow was precise.
It hit the rabbit's leg. The next moment, a guard grabbed the injured rabbit.
I watched, mesmerized.
I didn't know He Biming was such a good shot.
In Daliang, except for soldiers,
Other officials' archery was just for fun.
even a princess like me
Had never been so accurate. The Northern Border King is said to have never lost a battle.
seeing my lively expression. He Biming smiled.
I was afraid you'd be bored here alone.
So I caught you a pet this way. If you lie it, keep it. If not,
I'll have it released later.
I had no objection.
I agreed quickly. After that,
He Biming taught me how to hunt. He carefully held my hand, pulled the bowstring, then released it.
with a swoosh, the arrow hit a deer.
Yuning, you've graduated.
He Biming laughed heartily. I was thrilled.
This was my first time hunting.
I smiled. You're a good teacher.
We played for a while longer,
Then returned to the city. As soon as we dismounted to rest, a guard approached, glanced at me, and spoke softly.
Northern Border King.
Your honored guest is restless.
He Biming looked at him,
Signaling him to speak freely.
The guard then reported everything. They had delivered my message as instructed, but Gu Tingchen refused to believe it.
He wanted to go out and find me. They feared hurting him would affect relations.
Then Gu Tingchen rammed a pillar, claiming that if they didn't let him out,
To see the princess, he'd kill himself. He was still being treated. Hearing this,
I frowned.
I didn't expect Gu Tingchen to be so crazy.
He Biming also thought he was mad. He turned to me.
If you don't want to see him, I'll have him tied up and sent back to Daliang.
Thinking of our past feelings, I sighed.
It's fine. I'll see him. Some things need to be said face to face.
He Biming didn't expect my choice. He held my hand with concern, and whispered to me,
Call me if anything happens.
We're married now. I understood his meaning. I smiled reassuringly.
Then followed the guard to Gu Tingchen's room.
His forehead was covered in blood. A doctor was bandaging him. Seeing the princess arrive, they reported his condition.
The little marquis is not seriously hurt.
But we found old wounds on him. He has whip scars on his back that haven't healed. That's partly why he fainted. We've treated him, princess.
No need to worry. Whip scars?
Hearing those words, I frowned.
So that's how Gu Tingchen got here.
He must have been whipped. His wounds hadn't healed,
And he rode all the way to the north.
no wonder he collapsed.
But if he knew this would happen, why do it? I looked at the unconscious man with mixed feelings.
I always knew Gu Tingchen loved me enough to risk his life.
But his lop had become tainted, no longer the pure thing I once cherished.
From the moment he chose Su Qianqian, we were doomed to end. Maybe sensing someone nearby, Gu Tingchen's fingers twitched. He slowly opened his eyes
and saw me standing by the bed.
His eyes widened.
Yuning. Jiang Yuning nodded coolly.
Just that gesture
Made Gu Tingchen ignore his wounds.
He struggled up and stood before me. He wanted to pull me into his arms and pour out his pain and regret. But he feared I'd be displeased. Yuning, he said again, his voice full of longing. Facing his passionate expression, I felt nothing.
I was just here to do my duty and make things clear. Gu Tingchen,
I am now the Northern Border King's princess. Go back. His heart trembled, as if gripped tightly. He could barely breathe.
Yuning, I've spoken to the emperor.
If you're willing to return with me, he'll revoke the decree.
You won't have to marry the Northern Border King.
Just come back with me. And I know Su Qianqian was wrong. She slandered you. I've divorced her. You'll never see her again.
I promise I'll be devoted from now on.
No one will come between us. And your room, I've had it redecorated. You'll lop it.
Yuning, please come back with me.
By the end,
Gu Tingchen was almost in tears.
if I agreed to go back,
Even on the Northern Border King's land,
he'd take me away at all costs. But my eyes were calm. I told you.
I'm now Northern Border King's princess. Gu Tingchen, it's too late. No, it's not.
You haven't finished the wedding. There's still time.
Yuning, Gu Tingchen roared.
I looked him in the eyes and spoke slowly. We've already married last night.
Biming and I drank the nuptial cup.
And consummated the marriage.
I am completely his now.
Gu Tingchen, go back. From the moment you chose Su Qianqian, there was no chance for us. Hearing this, his body shook.
I had drunk the nuptial cup with that northern man.
And even consummated the marriage. He couldn't believe it. Since childhood,
He had sworn to marry me.
until today,
He still fantasized I'd forgive him.
and go back with him.
Then we'd be lie before.
But it was all over.
If only Su Qianqian weren't here.
Then Jiang Yuning could go back to how things were. But now I've told him
That I already belong to someone else.
I don't even have the slightest thought of leaving him. Her eyes were red, and she gritted her teeth. Yuning, you don't lop her. You won't be Het Pai staying here. I asked back. Would I be Het Pai going back with you? Gu Tingchen, don't forget what you did. It was all Su Qianqian's fault. She tricked me. Gu Tingchen suddenly shouted. He couldn't wait to defend himself, whether it was failing to propose on time, or taking my 9-turn resurrection pill, or anything else. It was all Su Qianxian's fault, but I just smiled, my eyes full of pity. In your heart. Is Su Qianxian the only one who hurt me? Gu Tingchen opened his mouth, but before he could say anything, Jiang Yuning, coldly said, Gu Tingchen, it's always been you who hurt me. The man's face turned pale. He wanted to explain, but under my icy gaze, he didn't know how to explain. He could only watch my lips move as I listed his crimes. Gu Tingchen, you chose her over me time and again. Her slander against me. You could have found the truth with a simple trek, but you never believed me. You always thought I was the one bullying her. Even when my life was hanging by a thread, you chose her, Gu Tingchen. You said you'd protect me forever. You broke that promise long ago. Yuning, I was wrong. Please, I beg you, give me another chance. I'll make it up to you. It's too late. I don't need your compensation anymore. After I said that, I had no reason to stay. I turned and left. The guards on duty received their orders and no longer held him captive. Gu Tingchen wandered like a lost soul. He didn't know where to go without me. His feet unconsciously followed behind me. He Baining saw him, but didn't say anything. He draped a cloak over me. Cold, aren't you? I said nothing. That speech had exhausted me. He Baining kissed my forehead with concern. Take the princess back to rest. That night, He Baining stood guard at my door himself. Lucia came again, as expected. She knelt before He Baining. Master 9, I've served you so long. Can't you give me a chance? I don't want a title or money. I want nothing. Just a few more glances from you. Master 9, my brother died for you. Can you be so heartless? She spoke loudly. Tears fell pitifully. Gu Tingchen saw this and thought he would soften. Or maybe he hoped he would. So he'd have a reason to take me away. But He Baining's expression remained cold. I've already given you a chance, Lucia. I've repaid your brother's debt long ago. If you don't want to stay here, then leave. I won't do anything to betray Yuning. He showed no mercy. The guards dragged Lucia out. Gu Tingchen could still hear her cries. Her hopes were shattered. But he seemed to realize something. Why, when Su Qianxian begged him, did he soften time and again? Was it because he thought I'd never leave him? Or that Su Qianxian wouldn't provoke me? He couldn't figure it out, and never would. From then on, his life was filled with nothing but regret. Gu Tingchen let out a bitter laugh and left the northern border, this cold place. But he didn't take his horse. Step by step, he walked alone into the endless white snowfield. The next day, I woke up, having slept well. After clearing things up with Gu Tingchen yesterday, I felt a sense of relief. I was about to get up and go out when He Baiming walked in. Gu Tingchen is gone, he said, and I showed no reaction. His leaving was what I wanted. We'll never see each other again. After a moment, He Baiming continued. He didn't take anything. He might die in the snowfield. If you want to save him, I can send someone to find him. Hearing that something might happen, I paused for a moment, but quickly recovered. I gave him a faint smile. That's his choice, not my concern. I saved him once yesterday. Now he has nothing to do with me. Whether he returns to Daliang or dies in the snowfield, I am now only the princess of Beijing. After I said that, He Baining's lips curled into a clear smile. He picked me up and walked out as I gasped in surprise. You're right. But our previous wedding, I still think it was too simple, and with someone interfering, it didn't finish properly. That's truly a pity. Yuning, I want to hold another one. What do you think? I wrapped my arms around his neck and nestled in his embrace against the cold wind. This time, I heard clearly, both my heartbeat and his. Amidst the wind and snow. All right, let's hold another wedding. I smiled.